Building approvals are up, yet houses being built are falling. So what we're going to unpack today is exactly why that is, what's driving that demand for, I guess, for new houses, and what the government's doing to increase the approvals and building.
Inflation's up, interest rates are coming down. We can't increase supply in the market, so therefore houses are getting more expensive. Dwelling approvals 15.3%, but construction output negative close to 2%.
So they need somewhere to live, so they're going to rent.
Yeah.
So then that is then driving the vacancy rates down to below 1 in a lot of cases. You got lineup of 50, 60 people to come through a one better.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, construction, the approvals are up, construction's down, but we have almost double the population increase.
Yeah, it's at all-time highs, which we'll go through now. So building permits have gone from 15,000, so this is year on year, from 15,000 to 17,000 essentially. New home sales have gone from 4,200 to 5,300, so they're up. Approvals year on year are up 7.8. Dwelling approvals, so across the board, are up 15.3 year on year,
which is massive year on year. 15%.
That's a huge increase. Investor lending is at a record high of 39 billion year on year.
Yeah.
So that shows that there's money in the market. People are actually investing. Yet, New South Wales construction, we're just isolating New South Wales, is down 1.7%.
Yeah.
So you look at all those numbers and you think, why the hell has it not gone up somewhere similar? You know, everything's gone up between 7 and 15%.
So, dwelling approvals 15.3%, but construction output negative close to 2%.
Yep.
But like, what's happening with the approvals to completions?
Yeah, so things are getting approved, or you know, although slow in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But they're not translating through to homes, and we'll break that down and look. And I can firsthand, I'm one of those that got a DA this year, got 3 quotes. So basically what I was looking to do is add an extra bedroom to my house, rake the ceiling in a lounge room, and basically just reshuffle a few areas in the house. Same roof line, same everything.
Yeah.
Basically the same floor space, I was adding a double garage to the front, so the cost per square metre of a garage isn't much compared to other spaces. Bathrooms are the same. Literally that I was expecting to be around that sort of 350, 400 because nothing's cheap. Those quotes, I got 3 quotes come in at 750. Yeah. So the reason is that, and you have to get and the way that it's geared, especially for renovations, you have to get the DA, you have to get all these things first before you get a quote. Yeah. And then you get a quote and you go, stuff this, it's too expensive. Yeah. So
which is why there's no new supply coming to market, because in that case, it almost makes sense to build a new house. But then when you go and build a new house, it's probably 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well,
and then
you end up just don't doing anything.
Correct.
And there's no labour to build the new house.
Well, you end up
just selling renovations.
You end up selling as it is.
Yeah.
You know, and then buying something else. But
yeah.
So we'll have a look at that. So one of the big things is shortage of labour. So essentially we're back to those days where the builders can pick and choose what they want because there's so much work out there in some cases. So they pick and choose, or they just jack their prices up on ones they don't want to do. And if you accept it, then you accept it. Material costs are still extremely high. So big portion of the 720 or 750 or whatever they were was materials.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't speak on this with confidence, but I would suspect that material costs aren't going to come down significantly in the near future.
Once you're at that level, it's unlikely they're going to come down unless there's some big economic reasons why. You know, if it completely folded the housing market or something, and they essentially weren't selling any of these materials, they have to drop the price. Yeah. But right now, it's still moving in other areas. You've got the government infrastructure, so. You know, and there's big spending in government infrastructure, so material is still moving. Yeah, you know, it's not stagnant.
And they're probably being prioritised to bigger contracts.
100%. If you're a builder and you could take a 2-year contract with the government, that's going to pay more than doing a residential reno.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know what you're picking.
Yeah.
So another thing that's hanging over their heads is insolvency. So we know during COVID there was a huge spike in demand for builders. Yeah, and they were then locking people in these fixed price building contracts. Building costs then skyrocketed, but they were locked into these contracts with good pricing.
Yeah.
And it sent a lot of them insolvent.
Yeah.
So I think any fixed price building contracts, they're adding quite a large margin to them as well. Because
Understandable.
Well, 100%. They need to protect their business at the end of the day. So they're putting, they're being very cautious in their pricing.
I don't know how many SMEs are out there, but it'd be interesting to know how many small business operators are out there compared to pre-COVID times.
So some of the other thing is approval, like the certifiers, shortfalls, like there's some delays. So that's some of them. There's some finance affordability issues there as well. So people are getting, like in my case, you're getting the quotes come back at $750. You're sort of hoping for $350. All of a sudden, you can't afford to do the reno.
Yeah. And I mean, with the financing constraints, and I mean, it all sort of relates in together, but financing and developer behaviour and council approvals, a lot of councils are trying to adopt CDCs to fast track the approval process, so you don't go through that full DA process. But at the same time, and that relates to the LMR changes, but it does, if it's not feasible for a developer, the construction won't go through.
Yeah.
So all of these, places have been rezoned. They might be included in the CDC, but if it's not feasible for a developer, well then it's not going to get built. And it's not feasible for a developer because inflation's up, interest rates are coming down. We can't increase supply in the market, so therefore houses are getting more expensive. And the more expensive the houses get, the less feasible it is for a developer to develop that land.
Yeah.
So it's just like a cycle at the moment.
So we'll look at now, so what's causing some of the boom, or the demand boom, so why we need so many houses. So net migration was, so for ending in 12 months to September 2024 was 380,000 people. Mm-hmm. So let that sink in.
Which is up, to put it in perspective, I think go back to 2000 to 2020, it varied. Net migration or net population increase varied from 150 to 250,000. It slowly increased from that early 2000 period, but we sort of hovered around that 200,000 net increase in population per year. So for September 2024, we're sitting at 380,000.
Yep.
So 180,000 more people than on average.
Yep.
And then for September 2025, we're at 470,000.
Yep. So it's gone up even more.
We're basically more than double.
Gone up another 90-odd thousand from the year previously.
Yeah.
So that is a record high. 470,000 new people immigrated to Australia.
And this is Australia. The approvals we said were New South Wales based, but we've got 470,000 people increase in population. But for New South Wales, the actual construction output is down close to 2%.
Yes. So it's great news, isn't it? Makes complete sense. But let's look at the reason why. Governments love immigration because it's essentially free money. It's
propping up the economy.
It props up the economy. They get a shit ton of money from it.
Yeah.
And that's why they do it.
Yeah.
Especially not bagging out Labor government, but I will. They need to be able to pay for all the shit they're spending.
Yeah.
So the easy one for them is increase immigration, because if they increase taxes, there'll be carry on.
Yeah.
So this is more of a stealth move where they just go, I could bring a heap more people in, and we'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
Who cares about house prices and all that shit in the background?
Yeah.
So you might have seen in the news recently that New South Wales government are doing some planning reforms. Mm-hmm. So there was a couple of stages to it. The first stages was, as you said previously, moving things to CDC and so that you don't have to go through a DA process and all that sort of thing. So they've also allowed in a lot of areas that you can put dual Occs on R2 zoning as well.
Yeah.
So you can add, they basically allowed multiple dwellings on a lot more properties now without having to go through a certain process. The other thing that's been recently put through is they've put a new fast track pathway through so that basically your DAs can get approved quite quickly. So in some cases they're saying it's from like 3 months down to a week or two.
Yeah, right.
Which is huge.
Probably in a similar situation, as long as it's similar to a CDC where it complies with all the planning.
It has to hit certain criteria and then goes through. You know, they've created all these new agencies. This is a thing governments do as well, like
which is
to pretend they're doing something. Let's create a new agency. We call it the Housing Delivery Authority. Is one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Development Coordination Authority.
I'd be interested to know what these do. But the other one was the Housing Future Fund.
I was government for 11 years, and I can tell you most of what they're doing would be having meetings and fucking coffee breaks.
Yeah.
And that was someone that did that for 10 years.
A lot of input with no output.
Correct.
What I'm interested to know about is this podcast is purely for home buyers generally and investors. We're not talking for affordable houses because they're obviously not buying.
Yeah.
It's more so just supplying accommodation for those people. But one of the agencies that they did introduce in 2023 was the Australian Housing Future Fund or something like that.
Yep.
They allocated $10 billion for it, and it was to supply 30,000 affordable dwellings to people in need, people who are vulnerable and people who are essential services. Since 2023, out of that 30,000, there's apparently been 890 houses allocated to the fund, but they actually haven't been built. They've been purchased. So that's decreasing the supply of available property for the people who actually can buy property.
Yep. So they nailed it. They did really well. We should just build some more authorities.
It's like not only is 890 properties out of 30,000 is just pathetic.
Yeah.
And then to decrease the supply, they've basically done nothing for nobody.
Yeah. So they absolutely killed it. What a great idea that was. So are they going to build more? Like, I don't know. I think we're going to have a period here for a couple of more years here where approvals they're going to keep going up.
Yep.
People aren't going to keep building, yet demand is absolutely going through the roof. You know, it's surging.
Yeah. And I know a lot of developers doing these land releases, depending on how it's managed, some developers will sell the land to builders. Builders will build the homes, put a margin on it and sell it. At least that's increasing supply for the market. And a lot of first home buyers in that instance, they go, well, I know what the completed product is. Other developers will try and sell the land directly to investors or first home buyers or whoever.
Yeah.
A lot of first home buyers aren't comfortable with going through that land acquiring process and the full build, because a lot of the costs associated with building a house isn't really transparent. Like you said, you go and put in a DA, you get your quote until the DA is through.
Correct.
So when these first home buyers get like a baseline product for a house, that doesn't include landscaping and the driveway and curtains and all of this extra stuff. It's like, at least if the developers go and sell the land to builders, they build a completed product and they sell it to the market. It's a better way to increase supply, but it's not always happening that way.
I think I mentioned it the other week that the way that the government does it as well. So if there's Crown land, they'll sell the Crown land to a developer, and then the developer will put a markup onto it to then sell that to individuals.
Yeah.
Why the hell is the government not subdividing and selling direct to consumer?
And I'm not sure if they still do it, but I know a lot of Crown land was allocated to the church.
Yeah, the Catholic Church.
Which is...
especially in Newcastle.
Yeah.
There was a lot of it in Newcastle that was allocated to the
Sydney
Catholic
as well.
diocese or whatever they're called, and then they divided it up and sold it. You know, there's a lot that could be done, but they're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and they, to pretend that they're doing shit, they keep creating these new authorities and these new departments, these new schemes, and they don't do anything.
No.
Like, it's not working.
It's almost, and again, it's like that, you know, we look at economic diversity when we're investing in markets. If you look at economic diversity for Australia, you've got mining, agriculture, transport, and housing. Transport is facilitating agriculture and mining. So we've basically got agriculture, mining, and housing.
Yeah.
And there's no new supply of housing, so the property market will just continue to increase.
Yeah, I think the immigration is going to cause a lot of issues, especially with the rental market as well, because a lot of them, they're coming into the country. They can't buy a house straight away. Let's be clear with that.
Yeah.
So they need somewhere to live, so they're going to rent.
Yeah.
So then that is then driving the vacancy rates down to below 1 in a lot of cases. You got lineup of 50, 60 people to come through a one bedder.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely nuts for the rental market. Great for investors. House is never going to be empty.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're not at that stage where you want to buy yet, good luck getting a house.
I mean, and this is slightly off topic, but touching on that, I tried to help family members. They sold their property. They were in their 70s, and because they couldn't afford to live in Sydney anymore, they sold a one-bedroom unit. They couldn't get upstairs because they're in their 70s, so they needed to downsize. They could only sell their one-bedroom unit for 1.2 million. It's a great result, but what are you buying in Sydney for 1.2 million?
Not much.
They had to move to another area. They're not sure where they wanted to buy for in another area because they've never lived in any other place. So they wanted to temporarily rent for 12 months before they purchase somewhere else. They don't know the process of applying for properties online, because the old way of just going through getting a rental is filling out a form and emailing it to someone or giving it to them in hand. So they couldn't physically submit their application to get a rental property.
Yep.
So they just moved out to bumfuck nowhere because they couldn't get into a competitive market.
Yep.
So, and you know, I think it would be very similar for anybody in the rental market.
We have to do, like, I know we're going off a tangent here, but to get a rental, you have to do something extraordinary. You know, pay 3 months up front or 6 months up front.
Increase
the rent, but it's becoming a bidding war.
It is, yeah.
You know, they'll advertise it for $750. It rents out at $850 or $950.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy how competitive it is. But without more building approvals, like we looked at it previously, we've got investment lending is at an all-time high, yet construction's down.
Yeah.
If it was easier, or if there is incentives for investors to purchase and build, you know, let's go. If you're an investor and you buy a house, let's waive stamp duty, for example.
Yeah.
That would absolutely boom.
Yeah.
You know,
and investors may consider compensating on yield if they're increasing the supply, if they're going to get capital gain.
Or they waive GST if you build. You know, there's a lot of things the government could be doing, but they just don't. So,
and I think investors are savvy, and they know this information. Like you just said it, investment lending is at an all-time high. I think it's up 17% this month, this quarter. They know that there's no new supply coming. They know that the rental market's hot and the rental market yields are increasing. So investors are just flooding the market.
Yeah.
So there's less home buyers, there's less first home buyers getting in the market, and it'll just end up becoming this cycle. Investors will continue to buy more because they know supply is decreasing and they know yields are increasing.
Yeah, especially that sub 1 mil.
Yeah.
It's getting absolutely hammered at the moment. But that's enough for ranting today. We'll see you on the next rant.
Yeah, see you on the next one.
Thank you.